Welcome, gentle friend, to another quiet walk through the past. Tonight we are not rushing toward pyramids or wars. We are simply going to live one ordinary day in ancient Egypt. Slowly, calmly, the way the river moves when the wind is soft. If you are listening with tired eyes, you are in the right place. If your mind is still busy, that is okay too. You do not have to force sleep. Just let the story hold you for a while, like warm air at the end of the day. I always like to imagine where this story is traveling. Maybe you are listening in a city with bright lights. Maybe you are somewhere quiet, with only a fan turning in the dark. If you want to, you can picture a small dot of light on a map, and that dot is you, and this voice is meeting you there. If these slow history nights help you rest, you can subscribe for more. There will be many calm evenings ahead, and many simple days we can borrow from people who lived long ago. Tonight, we will follow the daily routines of Egyptians across different lives: the farmer, the craft worker, the merchant, the scribe, the priest, and the families behind them. Not big headlines, just bread, water, work, shade, and the gentle return of night. Now, let us begin at the start of the day, when the horizon is still pale. Imagine the Nile nearby, not as a postcard, not as a movie scene, but as a real river that feeds real people. It is around 3000 BCE, give or take. The exact year matters less than the rhythm, because the rhythm stays the same for a very long time. The first light appears in the east. In Egyptian thought, the sunrise is more than light. It is a daily return, a daily restart. The sun god rises again, and the world begins again with him. There is no phone alarm, no buzzing clock. People wake because the sky tells them to wake, and because the day will become too hot later. Life is timed by heat, not by minutes. Most families live in houses made of mud brick. These are not the famous stone temples. These are working homes. The walls are thick, which helps keep the inside cooler. The windows are small, often placed to catch a breeze, but block the worst dust. The roof is flat, and that roof is not just a roof. It is extra space. In the evening, people will sit up there. In some seasons, they may even sleep up there. At dawn, the air is cooler, and the house holds that coolness for a little while. Inside, the floor is packed earth. There are simple rooms. Some houses have a small courtyard. The richest homes have more space, more storage, and more privacy. But even a modest home is carefully shaped by the desert climate. In many households, the first person moving is often the woman of the house, not because she is less important. In Egypt, women can own property, make deals, run shops, and manage money. In many families, the household is her domain in a very real way. She rises early because bread takes time. And bread is the center of everything. Bread is not just breakfast. Bread is the base of life. If you are rich, your bread may be fine and soft. If you are poor, your bread may be coarse, heavy, full of bits of husk, but everyone eats bread. So early in the morning, grain must become flour. Grinding grain is slow. It can be tiring in a way that gets into your shoulders and wrists. The tool is simple, stone on stone. A person kneels or sits, pushing and pulling, making a rough powder. The sound is steady. The work can take a long time. and that is one reason the day begins early. In wealthier homes, someone else may do this work. A servant, a worker, an enslaved person. Depending on the household, in poorer homes, the family does it themselves. The grain might be emmer, wheat, or barley. The smell of ground grain is dry and earthy, like warm dust, like a barn, like a field after harvest. While flour is prepared, the rest of the household begins its own morning routine. There is no running water, so water has to be carried and stored. Large clay jars hold it, often with a narrow opening to keep it cleaner. Every drop matters, especially in dry areas. People wash using bowls and small amounts poured over hands and face. Cleanliness matters a lot in Egypt, not in a modern way with showers and pipes, but in a daily habit kind of way. Sweat, dust, and heat are part of life. So washing is part of life too. For teeth, they may use frayed twigs, chewed at the end, until it becomes brush-like. Some plants naturally help fight bacteria. Wealthier people may use a crude tooth powder made from gritty minerals. Salt and herbs. It does not taste like modern mint paste. It is more like a sharp, dusty scrub. But it is something people care about: fresh breath and clean mouths, because they live close together, work close together, eat together. Small comforts matter. Then there is the famous eye makeup. In your mind, you might see thick black lines, dramatic shapes. But in daily life, this is not only style, it is also practical. The black around the eyes helps cut glare from the sun. It can also help protect against eye infections, which can be common in dusty places. Both men and women wear it. The tools are simple: small sticks, little containers, a polished metal mirror that catches the light. Wealthy people have beautiful cosmetic sets. Poorer people have simpler ones. The act is still the same: careful, slow, practiced. A small daily ritual before the world gets loud. Clothing is light for most people. Linen. Usually, the rich have finer linen, cleaner and softer, often whitened, sometimes decorated. The poor have rougher linen. Patched, worn. Hair can be short for convenience, or shaved to keep cool and reduce lice. Wigs exist too, especially among the wealthy, and they can be styled carefully. Perfumed oils may be used by those who can afford them, rubbed on skin to protect it from dryness. For the poor, plain oil may be enough, or nothing at all. Either way, the morning is about preparing your body for heat, work, and the long, bright hours ahead. Now, breakfast in the wealthy house. Breakfast can feel like a small feast. Fresh bread, honey, dates, figs, cheese, maybe leftover meat from yesterday's meal. They may drink beer, which is safer than some water sources, and also full of calories. Egyptian beer is not like modern beer. It is thicker. It can be cloudy. It is more like a drinkable bread, made from grain. Children may drink weak beer too. It is simply part of the diet. In a farming family, breakfast is simpler: bread, onions, garlic, maybe a few olives if available, maybe a small piece of dried fish if they have it, a weak beer or water mixed with herbs. Meat is rare. Fruit is seasonal, but even a simple meal matters, because it fuels the morning work, and the morning is when the most work must happen. Once the sun climbs, the heat becomes a war. As the day brightens, You can feel the schedule forming itself. The early hours are for movement and labor. The late morning becomes dangerous if you push too hard. By midday, many people rest, not because they are lazy, but because the sun can harm you. Shade becomes precious. Stone walls, thick mud bricks, a tree, a cloth awning, a narrow alley between buildings, any place where the air is cooler. In Egypt, the day has a heartbeat: work. Pause, work again. Then evening life. Step outside now. The streets are not wide and clean like modern roads. They are dusty paths. In villages, you see fields nearby. In towns, you see workshops, small stalls, storage areas, animals, people moving with baskets. The smell of bread mixes with the smell of river mud. You hear voices, goats, dogs, the thump of sandals on hard ground. Some people are already on their way to the fields. Others walk toward workshops. Some children carry small loads, learning to help as soon as they can. Life is not arranged for childhood as we think of it. Children are loved, but they are also expected to join the flow of work early. And yet, even with all this, there is a calm logic to the morning. Everyone knows what must be done. Everyone knows the sun will not wait. The Nile will flood in its season and recede and feed the soil again. That rhythm is bigger than one person. It is bigger than one family. It is the background music of the whole civilization. Now, as this first part settles, let your breathing slow a little. Imagine the cool of early morning on your skin. Imagine the first taste of bread. Imagine a family stepping into the day, each person taking their role without drama, because the day itself is the plan. In the next part, we will follow the work itself. We will walk into the fields with farmers. We will step into workshops with carpenters and potters. We will sit with scribes who spend their days shaping words, and we will see how the heat of midday changes everything, like a hand pressing gently down on the whole land. For now, stay here at dawn. The sun is up, the world is awake, and you can simply listen, letting your thoughts drift like a small boat near the riverbank. As the morning grows brighter, the day begins to divide people by what they do. In ancient Egypt, most people are connected to food. Even if you are not a farmer, you depend on farming. Grain is the backbone of the kingdom. So let us start with the farmer, because the farmer is the most common life. Imagine a village along the Nile, not too far from the fields. The farmer steps out early, carrying simple tools, a wooden hoe, a sickle, maybe a basket. The tools are not fancy, but they are used every day, and skill matters more than shine. The year is shaped by the Nile's cycle. When the flood comes, fields disappear underwater, and the land rests under a layer of dark, fertile silt. When the water recedes, the soil is soft and ready. Then comes planting, growing, and harvest. In flood season, farmers may be pulled into public labor. They might work on canals, dikes, roads, temples, and other building projects. Not every farmer is building pyramids. That time is limited in history. And even then, most people are doing the normal jobs that keep a country alive. But seasonal labor is real. When the fields are underwater, hands are used elsewhere. During planting season, The work can be intense. The farmer may plow with a simple wooden plow pulled by oxen. The soil is dark and damp. Seeds are scattered by hand. Sometimes animals are walked over the field to press seeds into the mud. Irrigation channels must be checked. Water gates may need fixing. Weeds and pests are constant enemies. Birds want your grain. Insects want your plants. A sudden change in water level can ruin careful work. Farming is not just muscle. It is attention. It is planning. It is watching the sky and the river. Most farmers do not own the land in the way we picture a modern family farm. Much land belongs to the king, temples, or wealthy people. Farmers work it and owe part of the harvest as tax or rent. That means the farmer's day includes another pressure. You are not only feeding your family, you are also feeding the system. Grain is counted, stored, measured. The state runs on it. The temple runs on it. The officials run on it. So the harvest is not just a happy moment. It is also a moment of accounting. Women often work in and around the fields too. Especially in harvest time, they may winnow grain, tossing it in baskets so the wind can carry away the chaff. They may carry water, collect plants, help gather bundles. They also manage a great deal at home: bread, beer, storage, children, and the invisible work that holds the household together. Children help early. A small child may scare birds away by shouting or throwing stones. Older children carry water jars, gather dung for fuel, or run messages between family members. Now, while the farmer is in the open sun, there are other lives unfolding in towns and cities. Imagine a craft worker, a carpenter, a potter, a stone cutter, a weaver. The craft worker's morning starts similarly. Wash, eat, prepare. Then they go to a workshop. The tools can be surprisingly skilled for the time. Copper or bronze chisels, saws, drills, measuring cords, and weights. A good craft worker does not just make stuff. They solve problems every day. How do you make a chair strong but light? How do you shape wood so it does not crack in heat? How do you fire a pot evenly so it does not break? How do you make cloth smooth and tight so it lasts? In a carpenter's shop, you might smell wood, dust, and resin. Good wood can be hard to find. Egypt is not full of forests. So some timber is imported. That means wood can be valuable. Waste is not casual. Pieces are saved. Scraps are used. In this shop, there is also a social order. A master leads, apprentices learn. Young boys may spend years doing simple tasks before being trusted with complex work. They sweep, they carry, they watch, they copy. Slowly, their hands learn. And here is something quiet but important. In Egypt, work often has a spiritual layer. A craft worker may believe that doing work well is part of keeping order in the world. Not just order like rules, but order like balance. Harmony. Things should fit. Lines should be right. A chair should not only hold a body, it should look correct in a deeper sense. Even ordinary objects can carry meaning. That belief can change how people approach daily tasks. It makes attention feel sacred, even if nobody uses that word. Now think of a merchant. Merchants are not just rich shop owners in one simple category. Some are small traders, carrying goods to market. Others are part of wide networks. In a place like Memphis, business is busy. The merchant's morning may include checking goods, counting jars, weighing items, and planning what to trade. In Egypt, money is not used in the modern way for most periods. People trade goods, supported by standard values based on measured weights of metal, grain, or other accepted units. That means the merchant is always calculating in their head how much grain equals this jar of oil, how many copper units equal this cloth, how much is fair today, in this season. In this market, bargaining is normal. Prices are not fixed signs on a shelf. Trade is personal. Relationships matter. Your reputation matters. If you cheat, people remember. If you are fair, people return. A merchant may work with scribes to record deals because written records can be used later in disputes. Paper is not cheap. Papyrus is valuable. Writing is power, and that brings us to the scribe. The scribe is often admired and sometimes envied. In a world where many people use their backs and hands all day, the scribe uses eyes and mind. Becoming a scribe takes training, years of copying signs, learning symbols, learning numbers, learning how to prepare papyrus and mix ink, learning how to hold a reed pen so lines are clean. Scribes work in temples, in offices, in storehouses, in courts, at docks, and in fields during harvest and tax time. They record grain amounts, they write letters, they track work crews, they write legal documents. They are the memory of the system. A scribe's day can still be long. Sitting all day is not always comfortable. The heat can dry ink too fast. Sand can get into everything, and the pressure is real. A mistake on a record can create conflict. A missing line can cost someone food. So the scribe learns patience, care, quiet focus. In some ways, the scribe's life is perfect for a sleep story. It is slow detail, the stroke of a pen, the count of a jar, the steady listing of names. Now, the sun climbs higher. And this is where the day changes for everyone. In Egypt, midday is not just lunchtime. It is a turning point. The light becomes sharp. The ground becomes hot. In the fields, work may slow or stop. In workshops, people may step away. In homes, people pull back into the coolest spaces. If you imagine a modern schedule, it might feel strange. But here, the schedule is built for survival. During this midday pause, people eat again if they can. Not a giant meal for most. More bread, maybe beans or lentils, maybe vegetables, maybe dried fish. Beer is common, again not always strong, often more like food you can drink. In richer houses, this midday time might include servants fanning air, bringing cool water, and keeping the household running quietly. In poorer houses, rest may still be mixed with chores. Someone must fetch water, someone must check children, someone must prepare the evening meal. The work never fully disappears. It only shifts shape. This is also the time when you can feel the difference between classes. A wealthy family can rest in shade with more comfort. A poor family rests because they must, but the heat still presses into their lives. A rich person might be inside a bigger home with better airflow, more rooms, thicker walls. A poor person might have less space, less privacy, fewer tools to make life easier. Yet the heat is the same sun for everyone. That shared reality creates a strange kind of equality, at least for a few hours. Everyone waits for the air to soften as afternoon approaches. Life returns to motion. Farmers go back to fields if needed. Craft workers return to tools. Merchants return to market. Scribes return to records. The late day can be productive again. Especially as shadows lengthen, you might hear the sound of work restarting across a whole town. Voices, footsteps, tool taps, animals moving, boats creaking at the docks. And here, I want you to picture one more life, the boatman on the Nile. The boatman is essential. Goods move on the river. People move on the river. News moves on the river. The boatman knows currents, sandbars, and seasonal changes. He knows where crocodiles and hippos might be. He knows how to read the wind on the water. His day starts early, checking ropes and wood, loading cargo, taking passengers. He may travel short distances or long ones. He may carry grain, stone, wood, animals, jars of oil, bundles of cloth. Each kind of cargo needs care. A broken jar means loss. A wet bundle means ruin. The boatman's work is both physical and careful. As the day leans toward evening, you can feel a gentle promise in the air. Heat will fade, people will gather, the world will shift into its softer mode. But before we reach that calm evening life, we still have one more turn to make, the human part that is not about work at all, the part about family, small talk, games, music, and a quiet way people end the day. So let your mind stay with the rhythm. Early work, midday shade, late work, then evening light. In the next part, we will step into the evenings of ancient Egypt, where rooftops and courtyards fill with voices, where simple food becomes a shared moment, where stories are told slowly, and where even ordinary people make space for music, laughter, and rest. Now that the first light has climbed over the Nile, the whole world begins to move in a slow, steady rhythm. If your eyes are heavy, you do not need to fight that feeling. You can simply listen as we drift deeper into one ordinary Egyptian day, the kind of day that happened so many times it became the quiet backbone of a civilization. Inside a modest mud brick home, the morning air still cool. The walls are thick and earthy, holding back yesterday's heat. A flat roof above can be used for sleeping, storing things, or sitting at night to catch a breeze. The floor is packed dirt, swept clean as best as possible. A few simple items sit where they are always kept. Pottery jars, baskets, tools, and maybe a small wooden chest. The smell of grain and smoke lingers from yesterday. Before anyone thinks about the long hours ahead, there is the first serious job of the day, getting food started. Bread is not just bread here. Bread is daily life. Bread is payment. Bread is comfort. Bread is routine. In many homes, someone begins by taking grain and grinding it the hard way, using stone against stone. It is slow, rough work. The sound is steady, like a soft crunch that never stops. If you have ever held a heavy object and pushed it again and again, you can imagine the strain in the shoulders and wrists. In wealthier homes, a servant might do this. In poorer homes, the family does it themselves, and they do it early, before the sun turns the house into a warm oven. While the grain is being turned into flour, other parts of the morning routine unfold. There is no modern bathroom. No pipes, no faucet. Instead, there is planning. If you need water, you store it, you carry it, you guard it. Many families keep water in large jars, and each cup poured is done with care. Washing is not a long shower. It is a quick, practical cleaning. A bowl, a cup, a cloth, water poured over hands, face, arms. The goal is to remove sweat, dust, and the gritty sand that creeps into everything. And yes, they also handle private needs in a practical way. Many homes use simple containers or designated areas. Some communities have shared places set aside for this. It is not glamorous, but it is real, and it is part of daily planning. Just like food and water. Afterwards, they clean up as best they can, sometimes using water, sometimes using sand or cloth, because in a dry land, even cleaning has to be efficient. If that detail feels too real, you can let it fade into the background. The point is simple. Their day is built around careful use of what they have. Then comes a surprising part for modern listeners. Personal appearance is not seen as a silly extra. Cleanliness, grooming, and even makeup are normal, common, and often practical. Many Egyptians line their eyes with dark pigment. It helps with glare from the sun. It may reduce infections. It also carries spiritual meaning, like a small daily shield against harm. A mirror might be polished metal, catching the morning light in a soft flash. A small stick or brush applies the pigment carefully, not rushed, because this is a familiar ritual, like tying your shoes. Clothing is simple but thoughtful. Linen is common, made from flax. It breathes in the heat. A farmer may wear a basic kilt or wrap. A craft worker might wear something similar, maybe with a belt to hold tools. A wealthier person may wear finer linen, cleaner and softer, with jewelry that shows status beads, rings, maybe a small amulet. Hair varies. Some keep it short, some wear wigs, especially in higher classes. The wig is not only style, it can also be practical, helping with heat and cleanliness. At last, the first meal comes. For many families, it is bread and beer. The beer is not like modern beer. It is thicker, more like a grain drink, full of calories and safer than water in many cases. It might be weak enough that even children drink it. Alongside it, there may be onions, garlic, dates, figs, or a bit of cheese. Meat is not daily food for most people. Meat is for special days, festival days, or when a family has extra. Wealthy homes, of course, have more. They might eat leftover roast meat, more fruit, honey, and better bread made from finer grain. Now, the day splits into many paths, depending on who you are. If you are a farmer, you move toward the fields as the sun rises higher. The Nile is not just scenery. It is the clock, the calendar, and the reason the land is alive. In planting season, the soil is still soft from the flood. Wooden plows cut the earth, pulled by oxen if the family has access to them. Seeds are scattered by hand. Then someone may lead animals across the field to press seeds into the soil. It looks simple, but the timing matters. The water channels matter, and the work is relentless. Farmers do not always own the land they work. Many fields belong to temples, nobles, or the state. That means a portion of what they grow will be collected. Taxes exist, and they are real. A farmer might feel pride in his work and still feel pressure, knowing that officials will measure grain later, and the amount taken will shape the family's winter. If you are a child in a farming family, your job may be small but constant. You scare birds away. You carry water. You fetch tools. You learn by doing. No one sits you down to give a long speech about responsibility. The day itself teaches you, and the adults watch you grow into harder work, year by year, like a slow sunrise. If you are a craft worker in a town, your morning looks different. You still rise early, still eat bread, still wash, still prepare your body for heat and dust, but you walk toward a workshop instead of a field. A carpenter might carry copper or bronze tools, chisels, saws, adzes. Wood is precious. Good timber often comes from far away, from places like Lebanon. That means a carpenter also thinks like a manager. He measures carefully. He wastes as little as possible. He repairs old items, because throwing things away is not a habit in a world where materials are hard-earned. Workshops have their own social world. There is the master. There are apprentices. There are jokes, complaints, pride, and tension. An apprentice boy might be learning how to smooth wood, how to cut straight, how to fit joints so tight that the piece holds for decades. He learns by watching, then trying, then being corrected. Sometimes the correction is gentle. Sometimes it is sharp. People are people. Even in 3000 BCE, someone takes credit. Someone complains. Someone thinks they deserve more bread for their work. But craft work is not only practical, it is also tied to belief. Many workers feel that skill has a sacred side. A person making furniture is not just making a chair. They may be making an object for a home, a temple, or even a tomb. If the object is for a tomb, then the quality matters in a deep way, because the object is meant to serve someone beyond this life. Even if you are not religious, you can understand the pressure of making something that must last. If you are a merchant, your morning starts with counting and planning. You check what you have: grain, linen, oil, tools, maybe pottery or jewelry. Ancient Egypt has no coins in the modern sense for much of its history. Value is often measured by weight of metal or by standard measures of grain. So the merchant and the scribe are close friends. Every deal is a conversation. Every deal is a small performance. A merchant reads faces and moods. He remembers who paid late last time. He remembers who brought poor quality goods and tried to smile it away. The market itself is alive in the morning. People arrive before the heat grows cruel. The smell is a mix of food, animals, sweat, and dust. There is noise, but not the noise of engines. It is human noise. Bargaining voices, laughter, a child crying, a vendor calling out what they have. Hands point, heads nod. Agreements are made with words, gestures, and sometimes written records if the deal is large enough. Now imagine the scribe, the person many envy. A scribe does not plow fields. A scribe does not hammer wood all day. A scribe sits, thinks, writes. But do not mistake that for easy. The training is long. The body still hurts, just in different ways. Stiff back, cramped hands, tired eyes. A young student might spend the morning copying signs again and again. Ink is made carefully. A reed pen is cut to the right shape. Papyrus is precious. So beginners might practice on pottery shards or wooden boards before they earn the right to waste papyrus on imperfect lines. A scribe also learns numbers, because the state runs on counting. Grain counted into storage, labor counted in teams, goods counted in shipments, taxes counted in measures. A scribe is a bridge between the human world and the official world. That makes him valuable, but it also makes him responsible. If he writes the wrong number, someone goes hungry. If he writes the wrong name, a dispute can last for years. And then there are priests and temple workers whose morning is filled with ritual. A priest might wash more carefully than others, shave body hair as part of purity rules, and dress in clean linen. He moves through spaces that smell of incense and oil. He performs actions in a strict order, because order is the heart of Egyptian belief. The universe stays stable when people and gods do their parts. The sun rises because the world is in balance. The Nile floods because balance is maintained. Even if you do not share the belief, you can feel the calm structure of it, like a daily checklist meant to keep fear away. As the sun climbs, the heat begins to press down. This is when the morning rush matters. People know the dangerous part of the day is coming. The light grows brighter, harsher, shadows shrink. Work that must be done outside is pushed forward with extra speed. You can almost feel the shift in the air, the way the day tightens like a rope pulled taut. And right here, at the edge of late morning, we pause, because the next phase of the day is shaped by one thing that rules everyone, rich or poor, farmer or scribe, the heavy hand of midday heat. In part 4, we will step into that slow, shimmering middle of the day, when Egypt becomes quiet, when people retreat, when the world seems to hold its breath, waiting for the sun to soften. By late morning, the Nile still flows with calm strength, but the land around it begins to glow as if it is heating from the inside. The light turns pale and sharp. The air loses its softness. This is the part of the day that Egyptians respect, and in a way, they fear it. Not as a monster, not as a drama, but as a simple fact. The midday sun can hurt you. It can drain you. It can kill you if you are careless. So the whole rhythm of life bends around it. If you are outside, you feel it first on the back of your neck, then on your shoulders, then in your breath. Sweat becomes constant. The ground reflects light upward. Even your eyes feel tired. This is why so much work is done early. It is why many people stop around the same time. Not because they are lazy, but because they are smart enough to survive. In a farming village, you might see people pulling back from the fields as the heat grows. They do not all stop at the exact same moment, but you can sense a general retreat. Tools are gathered, animals are guided to shade, water is shared carefully. Someone checks a canal gate to make sure water is flowing where it should. Then families begin to move toward the coolest spaces they have. The coolest space might be inside a mud brick house where thick walls keep some heat out. Or it might be under a simple shade structure made from reeds and cloth. Or it might be near water, where the air feels slightly kinder. In towns, people may retreat into workshops that are designed to catch a breeze, or into courtyards with a little shade and maybe a jar of water stored in a cool corner. This midday break is not a modern lunch break with a clock and a supervisor. It is a survival pause. It is built into life. During this time, people eat again, but often lightly. More bread, maybe a few vegetables. If someone has fruit, they eat it now, because fruit gives moisture and sweetness that feels like relief. Beer may appear again, not for drunken fun, but because it is calories and safety in a drink. If you are wealthy, your midday looks softer. A larger home has more shaded rooms. There may be servants to bring water, to fan the air, to prepare food. A wealthy person might rest on a bed or a couch, on woven mats, maybe with a headrest. They might talk quietly, plan business, or listen to music if they have musicians. But even the wealthy cannot escape the heat completely. Egypt does not care about status when the sun is directly overhead. For ordinary families, midday is also when many quiet home tasks happen, especially tasks done by women. Grinding grain might continue. Cloth might be woven. Clothes might be repaired. A child might be washed, soothed, or fed. Food might be prepared for later, because the evening meal often requires planning. Someone checks stored grain for pests. Someone checks water jars to make sure they are covered, because dust and insects are always trying to get in. And there is another kind of work happening in midday that is easy to forget: social work. In a world without fast messages, people stay connected through face-to-face talk. During the heat, when physical labor slows, words become the main movement. Neighbors speak in the shade. They share news. They share worry. They share small plans. Someone mentions that the canal needs repair. Someone complains about a tax collector. Someone quietly asks for help with a family problem. These conversations are not just gossip. They are the threads that hold a community together. In towns, the midday pause shifts the sound of the street. The market quiets, footsteps slow. Even animals seem less energetic. A few people still move around, usually those who must. Messengers, guards, dock workers dealing with urgent cargo. But most people try to be still. Now imagine a workshop at midday. The morning was busy, cutting, shaping, lifting, carrying. Now the tools rest. The men sit. The apprentices stretch their sore arms. Someone drinks. Someone eats. Someone rubs their hands where blisters are forming. The master might check the morning's progress, making sure things are measured correctly, because mistakes cost money and reputation. But even the master knows that forcing hard labor in the peak heat will lead to mistakes, injuries, anger, and sickness. A smart leader uses midday to reset. In a scribal office, midday looks different again. A scribe may continue working, but in a shaded space. The work is not heavy lifting, but it is heavy focus. The scribe reads, writes, checks, copies. He might be recording deliveries of grain, writing letters, listing workers, or noting temple offerings. And yes, there can be drama here, too. Someone claims a shipment was smaller than recorded. Someone argues about who promised what. A scribe is often pulled into disputes because writing becomes proof, and proof becomes power. A young scribe student might spend midday practicing, repeating signs and phrases until their mind feels numb. It is not exciting, but that is why it works. Repetition becomes skill. Skill becomes status. Status becomes a life with less physical pain, at least in the fields. Still, the student's back aches, their eyes blur, and their teacher demands another clean line. Ancient schooling can be strict. The reward is real. So the pressure is real. Meanwhile, in temples, midday can be busy in a quiet way. Priests follow schedules of ritual and care. Temples are not just spiritual spaces. They are economic centers. They store grain. They employ workers. They manage land. Temple staff might be counting supplies, planning festival needs, organizing labor, or preparing offerings. A temple might feed many people, directly or indirectly. If a family is struggling, temple charity may matter. If a community is stable, temple organization is part of why a priest's duties can include washing, changing garments, maintaining sacred objects, speaking prayers, and caring for a statue of a god as if it were a living, honored guest. Oil is applied. Incense is burned. Offerings are placed. Some of these actions happen out of public view. Deep inside temple spaces where only certain people may enter. The structure of the ritual is meant to keep the world in balance, to keep chaos outside the door. In midday heat, health problems also become more obvious. People drink less water than we would recommend today, because water is work to collect and store. Dehydration can happen. Heat exhaustion can happen. A person might feel dizzy in the fields. A worker might get a headache that will not leave. Small cuts can become infections. Eye irritation is common because of dust and sun. This is another reason for the eye makeup and cleaning habits. They are not only style, they are defense. Families use simple remedies. Honey on a wound, herbs brewed into a drink, oils rubbed into sore muscles. Someone with knowledge of plants might advise a neighbor. In some places, trained healers exist. But for many people, healthcare is mostly family care and community knowledge. And as always, belief and medicine mix. A charm might be worn. A prayer might be spoken. Even if the cure is partly emotional, emotional relief still matters, especially in a harsh environment. Now, there is a detail many people never think about. Midday is also when planning for tomorrow happens. Farmers talk about the canal schedule. Merchants think about the next shipment. Craft workers plan materials. Families consider how much bread they must bake. Egypt runs on small planning, done daily, repeated until it becomes tradition. You can picture someone sitting in shade, looking at tools and baskets, quietly counting what is left. For the wealthy, midday planning can be larger. A merchant might discuss a trade route. A noble might meet an official. A supervisor might assign tasks for a building project. Egypt's government and temple systems create paperwork, and paperwork creates the need for meetings. Even ancient people sit and talk through details, because details are how things get done. And while all of this happens, time continues. Slow and steady, the sun does not rush. It holds its highest point like a heavy weight in the sky. Shadows are small. The world seems to shimmer. If you have been listening for a while, You might notice that this part of the story feels quieter. That is right. Midday in Egypt is quieter. It is a wide, slow space in the middle of the day, where movement becomes careful and minimal. Then, gradually, almost kindly, the heat begins to loosen its grip. It does not vanish, but it softens. A breeze may move along the river, shadows lengthen, the air becomes a little more forgiving. People begin to stand, stretch, gather tools again. They return to fields, workshops, markets, and docks for the late part of the day, when work can resume without punishing the body. And as the sun starts its long descent, another change begins. The second half of the day is not only about work, it is also about returning home, sharing food, telling stories, playing games, making music, and preparing for sleep. The evenings in ancient Egypt are more alive than many people imagine, and they hold some of the most human moments of the entire day. So let the afternoon light settle in your mind like warm sand smoothing itself flat. In part 5, we will follow the late day return to work and then step into the evening, when rooftops fill with voices, when meals become social, and when the ancient world feels, for a little while, very close to our own. As the worst heat begins to ease, the day in Egypt feels like it is waking up a second time. The air is still warm, but it no longer presses down with the same hard weight. Shadows stretch longer. The light turns softer, almost honey-colored, and people who were quiet an hour ago begin to move again, not with excitement, but with steady purpose. In the fields, farmers return to finish what they can before sunset. This late part of the day is precious. The plants still need water. The canal gates still need watching. A missed detail can mean dry soil tomorrow, and dry soil can mean weak crops later. So even when bodies are tired, hands keep working. Someone walks the edge of a channel and checks for breaks, for leaks, for spots where the water is pooling where it should not. Someone clears weeds from a narrow flow path, because weeds steal water like thieves in the night. If an ox is available, it is used carefully, because animals are valuable and must be protected from exhaustion too. You can imagine the sounds, soft splashes where water meets mud, the scrape of a wooden tool, distant voices calling across the field. It is not a loud world. It is a world of repeated actions, repeated days, repeated seasons, and there is comfort in that repetition. The same motions today will be the same motions tomorrow, and the mind can relax into it. The way you relax into a familiar routine when you do not need to think too hard. In towns, workshops come alive again. The master carpenter checks his wood pieces, checks the smoothness, checks the angle of a joint. The apprentice returns to sanding and scraping, learning patience through hours of small work. A metal worker heats a small piece of copper or bronze again, because now the air is cooler and the fire is easier to stand near. A potter shapes clay with wet hands, the wheel turning, the form rising slowly like a quiet thought taking shape. In the late afternoon, there is often a feeling of finish the important part. Not everything needs to be completed today, but the critical steps must be done before the evening. Merchants also return to the market spaces or to storage areas near the river. Late afternoon can be a strong time for trading because people are thinking ahead to the evening meal. A family may want extra vegetables, a little oil, maybe a small sweet if they can afford it. Someone might trade a basket of grain for a jar of beer, or exchange cloth for dried fish. Deals are still made with talk and trust. A handshake, a nod, a promise, and for bigger deals, the scribe appears again, calm and careful, ready to turn spoken words into marks that last. If you watch long enough, you start to notice how much movement is connected to the Nile. Boats drift along the river like slow insects on water, carrying grain, wood, stone, people, messages. A boatman works in the late afternoon too, taking advantage of calmer conditions. He knows where the river is safe and where it hides danger. He knows the sandbars that shift, the currents that pull, the places where hippos and crocodiles are more likely. He works with skill and caution, because one mistake can ruin a boat, a cargo, or a life, and then, almost without announcement, the day begins to turn toward home. This is the part of the story that feels most human, because no matter who you are, farmer, craft worker, merchant, there is a moment when your work hand becomes a home hand again. Tools are put away, inventory is covered, a workshop is swept, a canal gate is checked one last time. And then footsteps begin to point toward family spaces, toward courtyards, toward rooftops, toward that familiar place where your name is spoken in the warm way. The walk home is not silent. People greet each other. They exchange small news. Someone laughs about a mistake in the market. Someone sighs about a difficult customer. Someone mentions a festival coming soon. Children run ahead, then circle back, then run ahead again. Full of energy in the cooler air, the sky slowly changes color. And for a moment, the harsh land feels gentle. Back at home, evening work begins. But it is different from daytime work. It is work with a softer feeling, because it is shared and because it leads to rest. The evening meal is often the center of this time. Bread is baked again, or warmed, or broken and shared. Vegetables are chopped. A small fire is fed. Smoke rises in thin lines. The smell of cooking spreads, and neighbors notice, because smells travel easily in warm air. In many communities, people do not eat like modern isolated families. The evening meal can be shared across extended family or nearby homes. One household might have better bread today. Another might have extra onions or beans. Another might have a little fish. Sharing is not always perfect, and not everyone is generous. But in a land shaped by floods and droughts, people learn that community is a kind of insurance. Women often guide much of the evening food work, not as a simple kitchen role, but as managers of resources. They decide how much grain can be used now and how much must be saved. They decide who eats first when food is limited. They decide what can be traded tomorrow. And these decisions matter in a world where your storage is your future. The person who controls storage controls survival. As food cooks, the home becomes a place of care. Someone checks a child's scraped knee. Someone rubs tired shoulders with oil. Someone pours water carefully and washes dust from hands and feet. If there is a small problem in the family, this is often the time it is discussed. Not with drama, but with quiet talk. A father might mention taxes coming due. A mother might mention that grain is running low. An older relative might offer advice, drawn from many seasons of watching the Nile. And while this happens, the light continues to fall. Lamps might be lit using oil and wicks. The light is small and warm, not bright like modern electric light. Shadows dance on walls. The world grows calmer, narrower, closer. You might think this is where people collapse into sleep, but most Egyptians do not end their day that quickly. Evenings are when life spreads out into stories, music, games, and simple togetherness. On rooftops and in courtyards, people sit to catch the breeze. They talk about the day. They share rumors. They tell old stories that everyone knows. And still, everyone listens, because familiar stories are comforting. Someone might sing a simple song. Someone might clap a rhythm. Someone might bring out a small board game, like Senet, and set the pieces carefully, as if arranging a tiny world of luck and strategy. Children listen more than you might expect. They learn by listening. They learn what is funny and what is shameful. They learn who is respected and why. They learn how people solve conflicts without fighting, by talking and by teasing and by reminding each other of what the community expects. And sometimes, in these evening hours, you can see the deeper bond of the place. The same heat that makes midday dangerous also makes evening precious. People appreciate the cool air like a gift. They let their shoulders drop. They breathe more easily. They become softer. But night in ancient Egypt also brings worry. Darkness hides danger. A house must be secured. Tools must be placed where they will not be stolen. Food must be covered against insects and animals. A family thinks about snakes, about scorpions, about thieves, about illness. They do not panic. They prepare. They place barriers. They hang small protective charms. They say simple prayers. And as the first stars appear, the Nile reflects small points of light, like the sky has lowered itself into the water. The day is not over yet, but it has clearly turned a corner. You can feel the slow pull towards sleep beginning, like a gentle tide. In part 6, we will step deeper into the evening world, the laughter, the music, the games, the small rituals of love and friendship, and the way Egyptians used the night to keep their minds calm in a land that could be harsh. The night air along the Nile can feel almost magical after the heat of day. It is still warm, but it is kinder. It wraps around you instead of pushing against you. In villages and city neighborhoods, you can sense the whole community exhale. This is when people become more themselves, not workers, not taxpayers, not apprentices, not officials, just people, sitting close enough to hear each other breathe. If you could walk quietly through a neighborhood in the evening, you would notice how life moves upward. Rooftops fill with families. Courtyards glow with small lamps. Doorways become places where neighbors lean and talk. The smell of bread and smoke drifts through the air, mixing with the river's damp scent and the dry smell of dust. The evening meal is the anchor, even when food is simple. The act of sharing it is important. Bread is broken by hand, passed from one person to the next. Someone pours beer into small cups. Someone offers a date or a fig as a small sweet ending. If a family is doing well, there might be stew with vegetables, lentils, maybe a little fish. If a family is struggling, there may be only bread and onions. But even then, the meal is treated with respect. The way people sit matters. not just because of status, but because seating creates a pattern of talk. Elders sit where they can be heard. Children sit where they can be watched. Visitors sit where they can be welcomed. A meal is not only eating, it is a small social system that keeps relationships steady. If there is tension between two people, others notice where they sit. If there is a new romance beginning, others notice where eyes go. If a person is grieving, others notice how quietly they eat, and someone may place a hand on their shoulder without saying anything at all. After the meal, the evening becomes a soft marketplace of conversation. This is when stories are told. Some stories are funny, about someone making a mistake at the river, or someone trying to cheat in the market and getting caught. These stories are not just jokes. They teach people what the community will tolerate and what it will not. A child learns, without a lecture, what kind of behavior brings shame. Other stories are older. Stories about gods and heroes, about the sun's journey, about the Nile's gifts, about order and chaos. Even if you listen like a modern person, you can still feel what those stories do. They calm the mind. They give shape to fear. They say, the world is big, but it has rules, and that idea alone can help a tired person sleep. Music often joins the evening. Not always grand music, not always professional. Sometimes it is a simple harp, a flute, a drum. Sometimes it is only clapping and singing. Rhythm is easy to make. A hand on a knee, a palm against another palm, a foot tapping on packed earth. People know songs that everyone knows. They sing them the way you might hum a familiar tune without thinking. Dance can appear too, especially among younger people, but also among adults during festivals or happy gatherings. Dancing is not always wild. It can be smooth, controlled, almost like telling a story with the body. It can be courtship, a way of showing confidence and beauty. It can be celebration, a way of releasing the day's stress. It can even be spiritual, a way of honoring something unseen. Games are another evening treasure. Senet is the famous one, but there are also simpler games, small contests, word games, playful challenges. A board is set. Pieces are moved. People lean in. A lucky roll or a clever move draws laughter. A loss draws teasing. The teasing is important. It keeps pride from getting too sharp. It reminds everyone that the evening is a safe space. A space where you can lose a game and still be loved. Children play close by, sometimes copying the adults, sometimes making their own worlds with stones and sticks. They chase each other in the courtyard until someone calls them back. They climb onto a roof edge and are warned to be careful. They fall asleep suddenly, leaning against a parent's side, and no one is surprised. And beneath all of this warmth, there is a quiet layer of responsibility. Evening is also when practical tasks are done. Tools are checked, a fishing net is repaired, a basket is woven, linen is spun, a tear in clothing is stitched. These tasks are not rushed. The pace is calm. The hands move as the voice talks. Work and rest blend together, which is something modern life often forgets how to do. In a merchant home, evening might include counting inventory again and planning tomorrow's trades. A merchant might talk with family about which goods to bring to market, which customer might be ready to pay, which supplier is trustworthy. A A scribe might read a letter or review a record. A craft worker might quietly inspect a piece they made today, thinking about how to improve it tomorrow. In a farmer's home, evening might include planning water turns with neighbors. In many places, water use is shared, and shared systems require agreement. People discuss who will open a gate at dawn, who will watch for leaks, who will repair a weak spot in the canal wall. These talks can be calm, but they can also hold tension, because water is life. Still, the goal is usually cooperation, because fighting over water breaks a community faster than any drought. Now, there is another side of evening life that is private, gentle, and deeply human. Love and partnership. Couples may sit close, speaking quietly. Young people may meet in the presence of family, trading shy looks and small gifts. Courtship is not only romance, it is also a serious step toward building a household that can survive. A good partner is someone who works, who shares, who respects family ties. Parents pay attention, not always controlling, but watching, advising, guiding. A marriage is not only two people, it is an alliance between families, between work systems, between futures. For married couples, evening can be a time of closeness after long hours of labor. The home is quieter, children are sleepy, the air is cooler. Even in a simple house, there can be tenderness, a touch on the hand, a shared joke, a moment of rest where the world feels less heavy. But not every evening is peaceful. Sometimes there is grief, a death, a sickness, a bad injury. In those moments, the community often gathers. People bring food. People sit with the family. Professional mourners exist in some settings, but ordinary neighbors also know how to share sorrow. They do not always try to fix it. They simply stay close. Because closeness is a kind of medicine. As night grows deeper, the tone shifts again. The laughter softens. Voices lower. The lamps burn down. People begin to prepare for sleep in ways that fit their world. Beds may be simple, woven mats, low wooden frames for those who can afford them, a curved headrest instead of a pillow, supporting the neck and keeping the head off the ground. Sleeping on a roof is common when the weather allows, because the air is better and the heat trapped inside walls can be unpleasant. But sleeping outside also brings risk, so families choose carefully and stay aware. Before sleep, some people wash again, at least hands and feet. Dust is stubborn, sweat is constant. A small cleaning can make the body feel calmer, which helps the mind quiet down. People may apply a little oil to skin or hair. They may check the door, check the jars, check that food is covered. They may place a protective charm nearby. They may speak a simple prayer. Not dramatic, just steady, a request for safety, a thanks for the day, a hope for tomorrow. And then, slowly, the neighborhood quiets, not silent, because ancient nights still have sounds, insects, distant animals, a dog barking, a boat creaking by the shore. The soft movement of wind, but the human noise fades into murmurs, then into nothing. In part 7, we will move into the deepest part of night, how Egyptians thought about sleep, dreams, safety, and the unseen world, and how the quiet hours prepared them for the sunrise that always returned. Night in ancient Egypt is not just no sun. Night is its own world, with its own rules. The temperature drops a little. The river becomes darker. Like a long ribbon of ink, stars appear in a sky that feels wider than any modern city sky, because there are no streetlights, no glowing signs, no bright windows. The heavens are clear, and to Egyptians, the heavens are not distant decoration, they are part of the story of everything. For many families, sleeping on the roof is the best choice when weather allows. The roof holds the day's warmth at first, then slowly cools. A light breeze moves across the surface. People lay out mats and blankets. Children curl close to parents. Older family members choose a spot near the safest edge, away from where a child might roll. If the roof is not safe or the air is too cold, the family sleeps inside, close together, using body warmth and simple coverings. Safety is always a thought. Doors are secured. Tools are placed where they are harder to steal. Food is covered tight. Water jars are protected. Insects are a real problem. Mosquitoes, flies, small crawling things. People use smoke, oil, cloth, and careful habits to reduce bites and irritation. Even then, the night can bring itching and restlessness. But most people learn to sleep through small discomfort, because tomorrow will come whether you slept perfectly or not. There is also spiritual safety. Egyptians live with the idea that unseen forces move through the world. Some are helpful, some are dangerous. This does not always feel like fear. It can feel like awareness, the way you are aware of weather. Families might place protective symbols near where they sleep. They might keep an amulet close. They might speak a known phrase meant to guard the household. The goal is not to control everything. The goal is to feel held by something larger than the self. Now think about dreams. In many modern lives, dreams are dismissed as random. In ancient Egypt, dreams can matter. People may believe a dream is a message, a warning, a clue. Some people try to remember their dreams. Some tell them in the morning. A troubling dream might lead someone to visit a temple, to ask a priest for guidance, or to make a small offering. A good dream might be taken as a blessing. Even if you do not share these beliefs, you can still understand the comfort. Dreams give shape to worry. They allow the mind to speak when the mouth is quiet. In a hard world, that can be valuable. During the night, the body repairs itself as best it can. Muscles soften, the back releases a little, hands stop gripping tools, eyes stop squinting against the glare. For a farmer, sleep is recovery from physical labor. For a scribe, sleep is recovery from mental focus. For a craft worker, sleep is recovery from both. And while people sleep, the civilization does not fully stop. Guards may walk, temple staff may remain on duty. A messenger might travel under a cooler sky if the message is urgent. Boatmen might move quietly if conditions are right. But the general tone is stillness. Some nights are special nights, festival nights, nights when music continues longer, when lamps burn brighter, when people gather not just to rest, but to celebrate. These festivals can include feasting, dancing, processions, and shared rituals. They can last for days. They strengthen community bonds and help people release tension that builds during hard work seasons. But most nights are ordinary. Ordinary nights are the foundation of life. And ordinary nights in Egypt carry a simple wisdom. You cannot fight the sun. You cannot fight the river. You cannot fight the seasons. You can only live with them, plan with them, and rest. When rest is possible, as the night moves on, the temperature may dip again before dawn. A person pulls a blanket tighter. A child shifts and murmurs. A dog somewhere growls at a sound. Then quiet returns. The sky slowly changes, though no one notices at first. The black becomes a very dark blue. The stars fade slightly. The horizon lightens by a tiny amount. This moment before dawn is important in Egyptian thinking. Dawn is not just a time. It is a symbol. The sun god returns. The world is renewed. Order returns again after darkness. People may not say it out loud each day, but the feeling is there. We made it through another night. In temples, priests may begin preparations before most families wake. They wash, they dress, they move through familiar steps. They prepare offerings. They greet the new day with rituals meant to keep balance in the world. These acts are not performed because people are bored. They are performed because people believe order must be fed, maintained, supported. If you want to sleep well, imagining this, you can picture a quiet temple room lit by a single lamp, the smell of incense, the soft sound of water being poured for purification. In homes, the first person to stir is often the woman of the household, because bread must begin again, grain must be ground again, water must be planned again, the day begins again. And this is where you realize something calm and powerful. The secret of ancient Egypt is not only pyramids and gold. It is routine. It is repeated care. It is small daily work done by millions of people in heat and dust, with simple tools, with strong minds, and with community bonds that keep them going. In part 8, we will complete the cycle of the day, returning to sunrise and tying together what we have seen across classes and roles, ending with a soft landing that lets your mind rest like a boat settling on still water. The first light returns slowly, as if the sky is careful not to wake anyone too suddenly. Along the Nile, dawn is gentle at first, a pale line on the horizon, a faint glow on water. Then the light strengthens, and the world begins again. If you have been following this day from sunrise to night, you might feel how complete the cycle is. It is not a dramatic life. It is a steady life, and that steadiness is exactly what can make it so good for sleep. Nothing is rushing. Nothing is shouting. It is simply one day, lived well enough to be repeated. In a village, the early morning sounds begin again. A rooster, a voice, a jar being moved, a stone grinding grain. The woman who rose first starts the bread process again. The smell of flour and smoke returns. Children shift in their sleep, then slowly wake. Someone pours water into a bowl for washing. Faces are wiped, eyes blink at the brightening light. On rooftops, people who slept outside sit up and stretch. They look at the river, they check the sky, they feel the air. The weather is not a casual topic here. It shapes everything. If the air feels unusually heavy, people will plan differently. If the wind is strong, dust may come. If the clouds look strange, people might worry about unusual conditions. They are not using modern forecasts, but they are using attention. In towns, workshops prepare again. Tools are checked, materials are gathered, apprentices arrive. The master looks over what was done yesterday and chooses what must be done today. In markets, merchants prepare their goods. They arrange baskets, jars, bundles of cloth. They think about who might buy and who might bargain hard. They consider what to trade and what to keep. In offices and temples, scribes and priests prepare their day as well. A scribe sets out writing tools. A priest prepares purification steps. Everything is orderly, because order is a kind of peace. When you know what comes next, fear has less room to grow. Now, if you step back and look across the whole society, you see something clear. Daily life is not the same for everyone. A wealthy merchant eats better than a farmer. A scribe has a different kind of strain than a canal worker. A temple priest has duties that a potter does not. But the sun and the river touch all of them. Heat shapes all of them. Water shapes all of them. The need for food, safety, and community shapes all of them. And there are small moments that connect them too. Bread connects them. Almost everyone eats it daily. Beer connects them. It appears across social classes, though quality varies. Cleaning connects them. They value washing and grooming. Even with limited resources, community connects them. People rely on neighbors more than many modern people do, because survival depends on cooperation. Even entertainment connects them. Songs travel, stories travel, games travel. A farmer might not own fine jewelry, but he can laugh at the same joke that makes a merchant laugh. A child in a village can learn the same myth that a child in a city learns, because the culture flows like the Nile, carried by voices and memory. You might also notice that their day is built around a smart relationship with the environment. They do hard work early. They rest during the worst heat. They work again late. They gather in the evening. They sleep when the air is cooler. This is not luxury. It is adaptation. It is the kind of simple wisdom that keeps a community alive for generations. And when you think about ancient Egypt lasting so long, thousands of years, it starts to make sense. It is not only kings and armies. It is not only stone monuments. It is the daily life of ordinary people, the daily habit of grinding grain, repairing nets, mending cloth, keeping records, guiding water, sharing meals, telling stories, and going to sleep when the stars rise. Even the famous monuments, the pyramids and temples, are connected to routine. Workers show up, tools are lifted, stone is moved, food is distributed, records are kept, injuries are treated. A community is organized to do a job too large for any single person. That organization is built from the same small skills used in daily village life: communication, planning, cooperation, and repetition. Now let your mind return to the river for a moment, because the river is the calm center of everything. Picture the Nile at dawn. A boat glides by, slow and steady. The water reflects light in soft, broken shapes. A bird crosses the sky. The shore is lined with reeds. Farther back, fields wait quietly for footsteps. The whole world looks peaceful for a few minutes before the day grows busy. If you are still awake, you can let your thoughts slow down here. You do not need to solve anything tonight. You do not need to plan tomorrow. You can simply rest inside the steady rhythm of this ancient day. And if you are already drifting, that is perfect too. Imagine one last gentle scene: a family on a rooftop at night. Earlier in the story, the lamps are low, the voices have faded, the air is cooler, The stars are bright. The Nile moves quietly in the distance. The world feels safe enough, at least for now. In that quiet, the ancient world becomes simple again. Not a museum, not a documentary, just people living, working, laughing, resting a long time ago, and yet familiar in the most human ways. Thank you for spending this time with the past. If you enjoy these calm trips through history, you can keep coming back. There are many more quiet nights ahead. For now, let your breathing slow, let your shoulders sink, and let the river's steady rhythm carry you gently into sleep.